Hello, I'm Jim Denver with Clark County Close-Up. Thank you so much for meeting with us.
Thank you for having me.
Before we talk about your priorities as interim county manager, let's talk about your background. Where'd you grow up?
My family moved to Ferndale, Washington in 1980, which is up north of Bellingham, just south of the Canadian border. So I grew up down or up there. My parents still live up there. And then I came down here about 28 years ago to attend the University of Portland. And I've been here ever since. And luckily for me, my two older brothers have moved kind of in the area. Haven't been able to convince my parents to move down here just yet, but yes, so I have been in this area for almost 30 years now.
What's your motivation or inspiration for public service?
But after I graduated from college, my first job was an intern with Multnomah County, and I had a great mentor there who gave me a lot of opportunities to work with strategic planning processes, and just the ability to know you're impacting people and not just creating widgets really, I think, pushed me and motivated me to continue to work in public service for my entire career.
I know you've had a variety of experience working for Clark County. What positions have you held?
So back in 2014, I came to work in the HR department for just over a year. And then I had left for just over a year and then came back as the HR director. As the HR director under Jim Rumpeltis, our interim county manager at the time, he did appoint me as the deputy county manager. And then in 2019, the then county manager did a reorg and expanded my role. So I wasn't just HR director. I was director of internal services and the deputy county manager. So I oversaw HR, IT, purchasing, facilities, budget. So really consolidating our internal services under one area.
Okay. So for our viewers, just what's the role of the county manager?
It's really to make sure the council has what they need to implement policy and make policy decisions, and then making sure our staff is implementing those policies as well once they get approved. And then also providing the essential services to our community that's either outlined in the policy or mandated by statute.
And you do report directly to the county council.
I do. They are my direct supervisors, so they have the ability to affect my employment, either hire or terminate me. But with that said, I also believe that I am responsible to all the community members. So I do feel like everybody that we serve is also my supervisor because that is who we're here to work for. They may not be able to impact my direct employment status, but our services is directly impacted, and my commitment is to the community here in Clark County.
And how many employees do you oversee?
Well, the county as a whole has 1,700 employees. That includes the elected offices as well. For my direct reports, I have about 10 department heads that work for me, and then 20 additional FTE right now in different support areas. So whether it's an office manager, purchasing, the policy analyst. So there's quite a few direct reports right now. When I took the interim role, we didn't redistribute any of my direct reports. So everything that I had as director of internal services is still under me as well.
Okay. How would you describe your management style?
That I can't describe that in one type. And I think what I've learned over the years in my experience, as well as working with other managers and leaders, is you really have to have flexibility in your style, depending on the situation that you're presented with. And so, my bottom line is I want to ensure that our employees are set up for success. And whether that's through collaborative approaches, they deserve to know what's expected. They deserve to have the tools and training to do their job because, in the end, if they're successful, then we're providing the best service that we can to our community. And so but sometimes, as in these positions, whether it's in my current one or previous position, sometimes we have to make decisions because that's what we're paid to do. And it's can be tough, but I am always open to feedback from anybody on any decision or policy or anything that we're considering. But we really have to be flexible, especially in our changing environment.
Uh, what are some of your top priorities in the next few months?
So obviously, immediately we're continuing to respond to the pandemic. So public health is intimately involved with that process. Department of Community Services has done a great job as well, providing some local services to our community. And then we have a lot of departments that are supporting it, auditors departments. So we're continuing to do that immediately. Ongoing, obviously continue to support the council and their policies and making sure the staff is implementing those and that our community is getting those necessary services. And then I think one thing that I would like to try to refocus on a little bit this year is I think back in 14, 15, they did the strategic vision, mission, and actions, and really looking at that again and refocusing on the why we work here, what we do. That does provide a great framework on what our service should look like, whether it's professional service, efficient service, what is deserved, and try to regroup and work with the elected officials and really come back together and get that focus down, and look at efficiencies and effectiveness in our service delivery. Next week, we do have a council retreat, so they will be talking about a lot of their priorities with the policies for next year as well.
What is the latest on the county's response to the pandemic? Can you give us an update?
Yeah, so I did talk to Dr. Malik this morning. Our cases per 100,000 did drop a little bit over the weekend, but we do see a little bump up again. So they are closely monitoring that. The data is always on the public health website, so I would encourage anybody to go out and take a look at that. And of course, the vaccinations is a hot topic right now. So our public health providers are in the first tier that's getting the vaccinations, the EMS and public health providers. They're doing their own. So Peace Health and Legacy are doing their own vaccinations. The long-term care facilities have a contract with Walgreens and CVS to provide vaccinations there. Dr. Malik did just get an update. He has not been able to evaluate it yet, but apparently yesterday the state made some changes on the next priority group. So we're evaluating that right now. I do know that he is committed in looking at ways to ensure that we can have an efficient and quick mass production of the vaccines in our community. So hopefully there'll be some information coming out the next week.
And just for our viewers, we're recording this on January 7th of 2021. So the county council recently adopted the annual budget. What's the financial status of the county given the impacts of the pandemic?
We're okay right now. It was, due to the hard work of our staff, right when everything started, we put a freeze on hiring. We implemented some key decisions to cut back on our expenses because we did not know how this was going to impact our revenue stream coming in with businesses closing. So we were able to save several $1 million just by implementations that we have done. We did receive one-time CARES Act funding that allowed us to provide the public health services and also provide some additional support to our community members and businesses, local businesses. So we were able, because we always, pass a balanced budget for the following year. So we had a balanced budget coming into 2020. And then we spent the year trying to stay within a balanced budget because we didn't know how we were going to do. So and the other hard part is on sales tax. It's a 2-month lag. So we don't actually see that impact until 2 months after the month that the sales tax hits. So we are still haven't seen the final numbers for the end of the year, but we are coming in within budget for 2020 and then 2021 moving forward. I always say I'm cautiously optimistic, but this is really, everybody says it's an unprecedented time, but there really is no time in history that we can look at to try to predict how this was going to impact our finances. So our finance team still meets weekly. And so we are continuing to look at the revenue stream and our expenses. And then without COVID, we had an ongoing structural deficit in our general fund. So that is something that our expenses are continuing to exceed our revenue. So we are looking at some long-term strategic changes that we need to make to ensure that we can present balanced budgets for the council's consideration in the future.
Okay. In November, voters elected 15 charter review counselors. Could you update our viewers? What's the role of the commission? Kind of what's the rough timeline? What are they going to be doing?
Sure. So when the voters voted in the charter, there's a provision in there that they would meet 5 years after the implementation and then at least 10 years afterwards. So this is the 5 year review. So those commissioners were elected in during this last general election. They are actually having their first meeting this afternoon at 3. It will be on CBTV, and I think all future meetings will be live streamed as well on CBTV. But their role is really to look at the charter and, if they choose to get community input and see how things are going with what, they thought was going to be implemented, see if there's things that could be better or could be changed. And then if they want to propose any amendments, that would be on the November ballot for the general population to consider.
Okay. How have you been transitioning into this new role? Especially, I can't imagine the difficulty during the March and, at the start of the pandemic. How have you been transitioning?
It's definitely not a normal transition when you go into a new position because our county manager had resigned on Friday, March 13th, and this literally started the same day. And on that weekend, I think I had the call from Dr. Malik saying, we have a problem. it's here, so there was no time to think about what, a transition might look like, right? It was really, but what I guess my takeaway was everybody in this county stepped up, and it wasn't, I was part of a great team, and as horrible and as hard this last year has been, it has brought us closer together. I can honestly say that we implemented immediately every morning, every department, including electeds. We meet every morning at 9 o'clock. It started out for an hour a day talking about changes because there's changes every day, to really make sure everybody was on the same page. Every department was talking about their changes. We're down to 2 days a week, so we still meet pretty regularly. And then I met with elected officials every week. So I don't feel that there's a divide in our staff. We are, we do have elected officials. We have our council, and then we have departments, but everybody came together, and our staff came together. Everybody stepped up. There was no time to think. It really was. We still have changes, and there's a new normal, and to be able to change and adapt that quickly, both on operations and financial, getting our employees working from home or in a safe location, and implementing a lot of policy changes and just getting that ball. We did the best we could, and I am so proud of everybody here because they helped me be in my position. And I'm just very grateful for all of them. So I can't imagine this is, Dr. Malik told me, I asked him, I'm like, have you ever seen anything like this before? He's like, no, this is like a 1 in 100 year event, and hopefully we don't ever see something like this again. But out of challenges come opportunities. So we find a different way to do business and a more efficient way. So, while it's been hard on many levels and for many reasons, not just the pandemic this year, there's been a lot of good things that have come out of it, and a lot of efficiencies, and we're able to still continue to provide services that we need to, because, and I tell Dr. Malik and the staff, all the staff that support the pandemic, it's like, a lot of us go home and, we are safe with our families, and and they are frontline workers as well. They, and it's tiring. People are tired, and not just in our organization, but in our community. I know people are tired, and there's a lot of emotions right now. And so I'm just very thankful for all the support from all the departments and everything that everybody has done in this county, because we would not have gotten through this last year without every employee and every community member stepping up.
Well, thank you so much for the work that you do. If people want to reach out to you, what's the best way?
They can call our main office at 564-397-2232, and you get a hold of me, or you can email me directly. I apologize if I don't email back right away. Feel free to email a second time. It's kathleen.otto@clark.wa.gov. Like I said, we are here for the community. We're here for everybody who lives here. And I'm very honored to work in this community and support everybody here.
Well, thank you so much, and best of luck to you in this in 2021. Thank you.
Thank you.